Welcome to Red Eye. It's like everybody loves Raymond. If by Raymond you mean huffing paint thinner from a paper bag. Let's go to TV's Andy Levy for a pregame report. Andy, what's coming up on tonight's show?
Greg, America's Newsroom is fitting to rise up about how great tonight's show is. Coming up on the big show, Congressman Joe Wilson calls the president a liar during his speech to Congress. We'll investigate just how many IRS agents will be auditing the congressman next year. Then, is separate beds the key to a good marriage? Some say no, but men say yes. And finally, it's the story that may bring down the Association of Community Organizations for Reform Now. Andrew Breitbart will show us how the good folks at Acorn are trying to make it a little easier out here for a pimp. Greg?
Thank you, Andy.
I got to keep my game tight like Kobe on game night, Greg.
I couldn't be more in agreement with whatever you just said, young man. Go away. Let's welcome our guest. I'm here tonight with attorney Tamara Holder. She's so hot, matchbooks warn children about the dangers of playing with her. Jesse Joyce, writer and comedian. If hilarity were a junior college, dumb ex-jocks would enter him daily. Bill Schultz in Trinidad, he's a fruit basket. And sitting right next to me, King Buzzo, legendary singer and guitarist for the great, great band, the Melvins. If musical genius were good deeds, Boy Scouts would do him every day. Yeah. And you'd cut him to pieces and feed him to your dog if you could. It's our New York Times correspondent. Good to see you again, Pinch.
If you want to enthrallins whilst in a verbal brawlins, then have a ballins and read Gail Collins. Only in Thursday's New York Times.
Well done.
Thanks.
They should pay you.
They really should.
All right. It was the jeer heard round the sphere. Pretty much the only interesting part of Wednesday's speech by President Obama came when little-known Congressman Joe Wilson from South Carolina, which is a state, apparently couldn't take it anymore. Take a listen, listeners.
There are also those who claim that our reform efforts would ensure illegal immigrants. This, too, is false. The reforms I'm proposing would not apply to those who are here illegally. It's not true.
First off, my apologies for making you look at Nancy Pelosi. That was unacceptable. It will never happen again. Now, in case you didn't hear him, that was Wilson yelling, "You lie," as the president said that health care reform wouldn't cover illegal immigrants. He later said he was sorry. Roll tape, roll tapers.
Last night, heard from the leadership that they wanted me to contact the White House and state that my statements were inappropriate. I did. I'm very grateful that the White House, in talking with them, they indicated that they appreciated the call and that we needed to have a civil discussion about the health care issues, and I certainly agree with that.
Now, while many on the left saw this as bad manners, others noted that this wasn't much different from what the Democrats did to Bush in 2005 State of the Union address.
By the year 2042, the entire system would be exhausted and bankrupt. If steps are not taken to avert that outcome, the only solutions would be dramatically higher taxes, massive new borrowing, or sudden and severe cuts in Social Security benefits or other government programs.
After that, his speech got even worse. King Buzzo, I actually had to turn away from that. It made me sick to my stomach. Is this much ado about nothing? Should he have apologized for that little heckle?
I don't think so. I like the fact that everybody in Washington is so up in arms about this. Like they haven't ever seen anything worse
yes.
than someone being called a liar.
Yeah, exactly. How do you deal with hecklers as a musician? What do you do?
I have a severe dislike of the audience.
Yes.
That's what it is.
Really?
Hatred gets me through every bit of it.
Really? So you just glare at them?
Yeah, and all over the world I've been able to understand the equivalent of "screw you, buddy," no matter where I went. In any language.
It's any language. Just screw you, buddy. See, you know what? If President Obama had said, "Screw you, buddy," healthcare would have been passed because it would have been the most human thing anybody could say. Screw you, buddy. Hey, Jesse, people are making a big deal about this, but what about it in other countries? This is nothing.
No, exactly. This guy's like the representative from the British Parliament is what it seems like. Like, I think more of our speeches should be like this. Like, like the Taiwanese National Assembly where it's like some little dude in a suit throws a chair and then they all fist fight, I think that's the best thing ever. Like, everybody would watch because those are great to watch, like, tiny foreign politicians, like just go at it, and then they all start punching, and somebody gets their glasses broken, their little name tags fly. That's the greatest. Everybody would watch.
I'm always amazed in those fights too that like women get involved, and they're always dressed quite appropriately for not that. I don't know what they're. Little things are falling. Their hair is getting all muzzled. Tamara, you know, Obama said his opponents used scare tactics, which was kind of saying that they were lying as well. So tit for tat.
Yeah, it's interesting because Biden is the one who's saying this is like so embarrassing, except he shows up to this big event with like a really bad spray tan, bad veneers, and really bad Botox. So I don't know what he's complaining about when he's the one who really should look in the mirror.
Yeah. Hey, you know, Bill, here's the one thing that I've noticed. What happened to the Republican response? Nobody remembers the guy. There was a heart surgeon who had a response to Obama. Nobody's talking about it.
No, they agreed that they were just going to hold on to the lies thing. They decided that was going to be their response. They thought it was effective. They know people are going to be watching because Obama's actually speaking.
Yeah.
So for them, it was a really good move. But I have to say, I do question the Republicans' arguments on this. On one hand, they're pointing to this videotape of Bush, where all you hear is a couple of really, that's it. And then the other thing is, what about other countries? Look at Haiti. They decapitate them there. This is fine.
No, that wasn't the Republican argument. That was my argument.
Well, aren't you the Republican mouthpiece, Greg?
That
Much
is
more
true.
than Rush.
I think Nancy Pelosi should have taken off her shoe and thrown it at the guy.
Yeah, but then there
Like
would have been
they
the
do in
smell
Ireland.
remaining.
The stench would have caused Biden to pass out.
Exactly.
He would have hit his head. The plugs would have fallen out. And then it would have been a complete and utter nightmare.